Hey guys, this is Vinay and you're watching my show Let's Talk. As always, bringing you inspiring stories. Today I'm extremely honored and sitting next to the lady whom I've always admired. She's got millions of accolades to her. Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan. She's one of the 100 most influential people in the world. But she's a pioneer in her industry. She doesn't need introduction. She's none other than Kiran Mazumdar. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Pleasure having you on the show and thank you for giving the time.
Well, it's a pleasure, Vinay, and for me, this is a subject which is very close to my heart in many, many ways. So I'm really delighted to be part of it.
Thank you. My pleasure. I want to take you back into the memory lane. When you wanted to get into your college, you wanted to do medicine, and you didn't get into medicine. Were you shattered? Did you want to desperately do that?
When I was growing up, young girls like me, we had this dream of what do we want to do in life.
Correct.
And I remember that medicine was something I was very, very keen on
Passionate
doing.
about.
And, I guess those days the opportunities of doing, various courses were very limited.
Yeah.
So if you were interested in science, then it was either medicine or engineering.
True.
So for me, I was really interested in the biological sciences and I thought medicine is what I would like to do.
And then you did not get that and your father advised you to take up a course in brewing.
Yeah, so Vinay, let's put it this way. I basically didn't make it to medical school.
Sure.
And then I did zoology honors instead. And once I graduated with zoology honors, I wanted to do applied science. And it's at that point in time that my late father said to me, why don't you pursue brewing? It's a great life science. It's in fact one of the oldest biotechnologies known to man.
Yeah.
And it's applied science, so why don't you do it? And he himself was a brewmaster, and I'm sure he wanted one of his kids to follow his footsteps. So that's what I did.
It just happened. And you went to Australia to do that. So when you were going there as a young person, very energetic and aspiring and stuff, so when you decided to take up brewing, what was going on in your mind? Did you think that you're going to get into entrepreneurship or you thought, I'm going to just get into?
Well, obviously, when I went to Australia to pursue brewing science, my whole ambition was to pursue a career in brewing on my return to India. There's no way I could have even thought of entrepreneurship. And, basically when I came back, all I wanted to do was to find a job as a brewer.
Which India didn't give you because they felt it's a man's job.
Absolutely. It was quite a male bastion, and although they would call me to do problem solving, they wouldn't give me a permanent job. So I was very disillusioned, and it was at that point in time that an accidental encounter with an Irish biotech entrepreneur who basically tracked me down because he had heard about my brewing days in Australia, felt that I could be a great partner for a biotech venture in India. And so that's how I started Biocon in 1978, purely by chance.
In your garage with 10,000 rupees.
Yeah, absolutely.
What made you to pick yourself up and say, you know what, I'm going to start today? Did you have enough support system and financial support?
I had absolutely no support apart from moral support from my family.
Sure.
But I was very determined to prove people wrong. It was almost like a spirit of challenge saying, who are these people who think that I can't be a good brewmaster, that I can't manage a business, that I can't run a brewery? Let me show them what I can do. So it was almost a sort of a rebellious streak in me that said, let me show it to them. And then, of course, it seemed quite interesting what my Irish partner was proposing. He said, it's about enzymes, it's about enzyme technology, it's about new ways of processing. So I just found that very, very
exciting,
interesting.
Right?
And it had a lot to do with, microbiology and genetic engineering and all the things that I was fascinated
about. It was your
about.
forte. And then did you ever think that Biocon today what it is would be back then when you started in your garage?
I think no entrepreneur can visualize that, because it is an evolutionary process. It is about building an organization. It is about building a company. It's about, building scale. I don't think anyone can conceptualize at that point in time how large that potential is.
Sure.
Basically, initially the first phase is survival.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to make sure that you endure the first few years.
The toughest.
Go through all the challenges and trials and tribulations of an entrepreneur, which is fraught with a lot of failure.
Yeah.
And you have to endure that failure, because when you endure that failure and when you overcome that failure, you get a lot more confidence.
True.
And so, as I said, the first phase is about survival. And then once you survive that first phase, then it's about, you know, building credibility. And once you build credibility, then you can build the kind of scale and scope and different dimensions of your business that were not even imaginable when you started.
Absolutely. And you know, while you spoke about failures, right? As a person, you are a go-getter, you're very strong-headed, and you know what you want. How did you take failures? What was going on in your mind, and what did you tell yourself to pick yourself up whenever you had a failure at your step?
I think, you know, every entrepreneur is a risk taker.
Yeah.
And when you're a risk taker, you know that failure is inherent to what you're trying to do. And so you don't look at failure like most other people look at failure. You don't say, wow, this is the end of everything. You know? You basically look at failure saying, oh, that didn't work. Now I'm going to pick myself up, I'm going to find out why it didn't work, and I'm going to make it work. So that's how I've looked at failure. I have never looked at failure as something which is the end of the road. I've looked at failure as something that didn't work, and I've got to figure out why it didn't work, and now I'm going to make it work. So I think that spirit of addressing failure with a risk mitigation approach, where finally you convert failure to success, is what makes entrepreneurs what they are.
And in terms of young entrepreneurs seeing this, right? What it takes to actually, you know, a lot of people want to start business. Now, this is a new overrated word that, you know, I want to do business, but I don't know what I want to do. So what would you want to tell people watching this who wants to get into business, who wants to get into entrepreneurship?
So first and foremost, I think I tell every entrepreneur, you know, entrepreneurship is about taking an exciting idea to the market.
Yeah.
Okay. So unless you are very convinced that it's an exciting idea and that you're very excited by an idea, I think you can't be a good entrepreneur.
True.
Then I think there has to be a sense of purpose, you know, a spirit of purpose almost.
Yeah.
By saying that, hey, I find this idea very exciting. I think there's a good commercial opportunity for this idea, and I'm going to take it up as a challenge. And there is a sense of purpose because I think this idea will make a difference to X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. You know, even today, if you look at startups today, everyone's going in for various aggregator models, whether it's taxi aggregators, whether it's hotel room aggregators, whether it's food aggregators, whatever it is. I think that concept is quite exciting, but you must pick that niche which is of interest to you.
Correct.
There's no point trying to be a food aggregator if you really don't know the difference between one type of quality of food or the diversity of cuisines. So I think you must pick your niche very carefully, and that idea must excite you. If you're passionate and excited about that idea, you will succeed.
Absolutely. Talking about women entrepreneurs, you're one of the pioneers of India. You've been a role model and an aspiration and an inspiration to a lot of young women. We talk a lot about women empowerment. People come and talk about women empowerment in terms of safety, in terms of psychological balance, physical strength and all that. For you, do you believe in empowering women or what is your views on that, and what would you like to say about that?
You know, in our organization, I empower women in every which way possible. Okay. I always tell women, listen, it's all in your mind. If you think you can't do certain things because you're a woman, I don't buy that. Okay? And therefore, I have always encouraged women to take up challenges, take up big challenges, and prove to themselves more than others that they can do it. So I think women have to break out of their own, you know, traps.
Absolutely.
I think they set their
self-trapped.
They're trapped and they set themselves those traps. So I always tell women, get out of those traps. Those are mental traps. So you've got to get out of those mental traps. And the moment you get out of those mental traps, it's, you know, you will find that you're able to do anything and everything.
Absolutely. And when you look at people for hiring, you know, I read somewhere that your first hire was a driver. back then in 1970.
A tractor mechanic.
A tractor mechanic. So when you hire people, they say marriage and hiring people is a gamble. So, you know, you go with your instinct and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What do you look for in talent when you look for Biocon?
So first and foremost, when I interview people, I want to know why do they want to join this organization? Okay. What is it that's exciting about the organization? So I want to hear it from them. And you sort of, when you ask them sort of offbeat questions, you actually get to understand why and what they are all about.
True.
You know? And that to me is more important than just asking them technical questions.
Exactly. That can be groomed.
Yeah, because I very often find that when you ask someone who's very smart, they can give you the best answers. But when it comes to actually, you know, doing the job on the ground, most of them fail because they don't have a way of inspiring people.
Sure.
Okay, either they are very good, you know, and smart technically, but they have no clue about interpersonal relations.
True.
And that's so important in terms of leadership.
Absolutely. And Kiran, you, before Biocon's big name into the industry and post that, right, what is it that you've carried within you as a person while you were in your 20s and 30s and now? And how has business changed you as a person?
So, you know, as a person, as you can imagine, I have always been very different.
Yeah.
You know, I've always tried to differentiate myself. I've always tried to take on, you know, offbeat kind of areas to work in.
Is it by choice or?
I think by choice, because I'm not a follower.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to imitate others. I want to innovate. I have been very innovative by nature.
Yeah.
And I think I've always wanted to do things in a very different way. I wanted to take new paths.
Yeah.
I have never, you know, looked at somebody else's business model and say, hey, that's the business model I want to copy. No, I've opted to create my own business model. And creating something like that is always very difficult because, you know, there are skeptics. You have to build credibility. I mean, today my biggest challenge is I'm trying to build credibility around novel innovation, original innovation. See, India has been known for imitative innovation. You know, the whole pharma sector in India is about imitation. It's not about creating original IP.
True.
At Biocon, we are creating original IP. But markets don't like it, investors don't like it, analysts don't understand it. And that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to say, hey guys, I'm going to prove you all wrong. I'm going to show you how a company out of India can do some of the most original research, come out with the most original path-breaking products.
Absolutely.
Which will benefit society and mankind. That's my dream.
Kiran, wanted to understand in terms of your business, where you started off and currently where it is, how much support did you get from, say, a government body or related organizations on your journey?
And then again, an accidental encounter with Mr. Vagul of ICICI got me this amount that I wanted and more. And not just that, he said, listen, I'm not going to give you a loan. I'm going to invest in your company because I've just started a venture fund.
Yeah.
And this is the ideal kind of company that I want to finance and fund. And therefore, I'm going to do it as an equity investor. So that was a big game changer and an eye-opener for me. Because I said, wow, I don't have to borrow money. People are going to invest in my company. Wow, that means they believe in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that was a big eureka moment for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, then of course that technology became very successful. You know, imagine I took a 1 crore loan at that time. Okay, 1989 was the time when I took the 1 crore loan. And when I sold the enzyme business, I sold it for 125 crores. That was the value we had created from that 1 crore. So it tells you that, you know, people who bet on technology, people who bet on IP, they do very well. And I thought that was a great way I could prove to the world and prove my credibility to the world that I know what I'm doing.
Absolutely. And then you took another major step. You spoke to Mr. Narayan-Murthy for the IPO. I took his advice, and that was another.
Yes. So then there came a time when we started shifting our business from, you know, enzymes to biopharmaceuticals.
Correct.
And when we decided to do that, I needed a huge amount of capital to build the kind of facilities we needed for biopharmaceuticals. And so the only way of doing it was to go to the capital market.
Yeah.
And at that time, Infosys had just gone through a very successful IPO, though they had a very rough time going to the IPO. So I did seek the advice of Mr. Narayan-Murthy. I told him, I said, what should I watch out for? What are the, things that are, I must be focused on and make sure that everything goes well with such an IPO. And he gave me some sound advice. He said, make sure that you have 8 straight quarters of profit and growth. And if you can do that, then you know that you're ready for an IPO. So I waited for that. And then 2004, we went to the market and we had a great listing because we were a $1 billion company.
Only second Indian company which could raise $1 billion in
as market cap
yeah.
on the first day of listing.
Wow, that's an achievement by itself. Now, Biocon is your dream, your baby. But apart from that, you're also extremely passionate about 2 things. One is education and another one is cancer, healthcare in general. So when did you start thinking about doing something for education?
When we had a successful listing, when there was recognition, not just for me personally, but also as an organization that we had created huge wealth. I think that was a time when I felt we had to give back to society.
Yeah.
And so we started a CSR both at a corporate level and a philanthropic sort of bent of mind and initiative at a personal level. And at that time, I think as a corporate, we felt that education is very important because we felt that being the IT city and the biotech capital, we felt that young people need to be included in this whole very exciting realm of technology.
Absolutely.
And we realized that whilst we were getting a lot of smart kids coming from urban India, in rural India we felt that they were being excluded because the quality of teaching is so poor in schools. And we said now, when we started looking at some of the data around just mathematics and the very poor understanding that kids have of mathematics in rural areas and rural schools, we felt that's something which we should do. And one of my very dear friends was a very, very well recognized teacher of computer science and mathematics. And so she said, look, I'm actually been toying with this idea of coming up with a very easy to understand textbook, almost a fun textbook for kids to understand what mathematics is all about. And she says, if you can sponsor it, then I will actually write out these books. We decided to call it Chinnara Ganita, which means mathematics for kids. And then, of course, at a higher level, we felt that young people also need to be industry ready. And I know that as an entrepreneur, whenever I go to any college, they keep telling me, they said, ma'am, we are all doing biotech because of you and we don't get jobs. And when I come and ask my HR people, why don't you take more freshers? And they say, no, but they're not industry ready because their curriculum is not aligned to what we need. So I said, well, as pioneers in biotechnology, we've got to do something about it. So we started the Biocon Academy. And then I partnered with a Californian institute, a technical institute called Keck Graduate Institute. And they were running some fabulous courses in biotechnology, industrial biotechnology, and I felt that partnering with them, I could actually offer these condensed programs, crash courses, so to speak, to young people who graduate from colleges but that don't have that last mile connectivity with industry. So we get them ready, and I'm pleased to say that to date we've, it's been just a few years since we've started the Biocon Academy. We've actually graduated or certified, I should say, 200 young people from these courses, and every one of them has been placed in industry.
Wow.
And I think that's a big thing, because
big
I just felt that we don't want the talent pool to shrink, we want it to expand.
Expand, yeah. That's actually only visionaries like you can think about it, because what happens is people become successful entrepreneurs, but then they forget to expand, forget to make more people get into the industry, because it helps you indirectly. You get good talent coming in. Another important area that you have contributed immensely, and people seeing this, a lot of people will be thinking about you and blessing you for your hospital, your cancer, Mazumdar Shaw Cancer Center. This season, Bangalore season, on my show, we are spreading cancer awareness. We are telling people that early detection can save life, and who better than you can speak about it. So can you tell us your experience of seeing people closely who is affected with cancer, and what would you like to tell people on the show?
So, the other area for my corporate social responsibility and my personal philanthropy was about healthcare.
Sure.
So, at the corporate social level, we basically started a micro health insurance program called Arogya Raksha for the poor. So that at a very nominal cost of about 150 rupees a year, they could actually cover themselves for insurance, and we have a network of hospitals where they could have a cashless access to expensive hospital treatments. In the same vein, I suddenly realized, my very, very dear friend whom I lost a few years ago to breast cancer, I saw her suffer this journey of breast cancer over years. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2002 and she passed away in 2008. And so for those 6 years, I actually traveled that journey of cancer with her because she was such a close and dear friend of mine. So two things hit me hard at that time. One was about the cancer treatment cost, and the other was about research in cancer.
Sure.
So what I did was in fact, just before my friend passed away, I decided as a part of my philanthropy, in 2005, I actually got together with Dr. Devi Shetty, and I said to him, you made a great affordable cardiac care model.
Yeah.
How about creating and building an affordable cancer care model? And I'm willing to partner you in that. So he said, well, that's a great idea. I don't know very much about cancer, but yes, let's do it together. So with that in mind, first I said it's about economies of scale. So although Dr. Shetty and I were talking about setting up a cancer center, I said, look, if we want to set up an affordable cancer center, that too providing access to the average person, not the affluent person, then let's build a large cancer center where we will get that economy of scale. Whether it is, in the diagnostic section, because that's very expensive, the scans cost a lot. But if you have a large number of people using...
then you have economies of scale.
Yes, a very expensive fixed asset, then you can basically amortize it in a much more economic way. So we created the Mazumdar Shaw Cancer Center as a 1400 bedded cancer center. But we also realized that cancer is not just a one-off, it's not a single disease because it manifests in many other ways. So we created it as a multi-specialty center as well. And then the second part is about new therapies. So research was another focus. So we have the Mazumdar Shaw Center for Translational Research. And that is where we are looking at, finding new things about cancer, the genomics of cancer. Today oncogenomics or the genomics around different types of cancer is becoming very important. And at our center, we have a lot of cutting edge knowledge on head and neck cancer. Now, head and neck cancer is the cancer that afflicts Indian patients the highest because of tobacco chewing and gutka and all that stuff.
That's actually helped a lot of people. In terms of cancer, treating cancer, there's another aspect to it. Like when cancer patients get diagnosed with cancer and the families that along with them go through this entire process, how much importance is given for counseling or psychological health?
So I think that's extremely important. In fact, I was even involved with an organization called COPER, which was really about dealing with the psychology of cancer. Of course, we were not able to at that point in time garner enough support from the government. So today, of course, at our center, we have a lot of counseling. And it's a very humanitarian approach that you need to take.
Which is very important.
You've been through it yourself, and you know how important it is for the doctor to be very deeply involved with the cancer patient. I was at a function just the other day at our center where we actually commemorated the 500th bone marrow transplant that we did at the center. And it was very touching for me to see that the patients who actually came out with their own experiences and stories, these are cancer survivors due to bone marrow transplant, which is a great stem cell based therapy. They came to me and they said, you know, it is not just about the hospital, it is not just about the high-end centers. The most important part of this hospital are the doctors. You have caring doctors. And he says, we want to salute the doctors and the nurses. He said, your nurses were so wonderful. They made us feel so confident that we would overcome this dreaded disease. And I thought that was very touching.
Absolutely. I mean, I can feel what they say because I've gone through that myself with the family. People watching this, cancer patients seeing this, or families of cancer patients, your piece of advice or word to them?
My word to them is, look, first and foremost, cancer is today a disease that has many new treatments. Don't lose hope. And remember, because cancer is an immune-mediated disease, you know, keep strong, keep your immune system very strong, because if you actually keep your immune system strong, you can fight cancer in ways that you won't believe.
Yeah.
And of course, now with novel therapies, you know, you can actually, you know, do wonders with cancer.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I would say, you know, you have to also look after yourself. I think I see a lot of people who smoke a lot.
Yeah.
And even though I tell them, listen, you know, smoking will lead to cancer if you do it so extensively.
Yeah.
And they say, oh no, it won't happen to me. And I keep telling them, you know, you are not invincible. I mean, cancer is one disease that doesn't see the difference between one and another.
Absolutely.
If you're going to abuse your system, and with all the pollution in the air adding
and
to
lifestyle,
it's not going to be easy to fend off cancer. I remember this friend of mine who was battling cancer, you know, she basically was in a very advanced stage of cancer when it was diagnosed in 2002. And people hadn't given her more than 2 years, but she actually survived 6 years.
Yeah.
And she survived 6 years because she was so strong. She was very determined to overcome cancer. At the end, what killed her was not really the cancer. She underwent whole brain radiation because it had metastasized to the brain. Small lesions were showing up. I think it was a very drastic treatment that finally kind of killed her. You know, it
most
was
of the time the
unfortunate.
treatment kills.
Yeah, sometimes it's the treatment that kills. It's not the cancer that killed.
Yeah. In conversation with Kiran Mazumdar, don't ignore cancer. It can happen to anyone. Early detection can save life, is what she says. We're going to be right back. Welcome back. We are in conversation with a true leader and a pioneer in the biotechnology industry, Kiran Mazumdar. Last segment on the show, couple of questions, one-liner questions, and your answers for them, please. One advice from someone that's completely changed your life.
When I started Biocon, you know, I never thought I could be an entrepreneur. So even when my Irish partner said to me, look, why don't you help me set up this company in India? And I said, I don't think I can. And the advice he gave to me is, look, believe in your capabilities and yourself, because you're smart. And if you think you're smart, then you can do anything. And that's the advice I give to young people. I said, if I could do it, anyone can.
I mean, on the advice piece, one advice to young women seeing this.
I always say to women, it's all in the mind. Get out of your mental traps.
One regret of your life.
Well, I think my only regret is that I married very late in life. And so I think my husband and I both, you know, miss the fact that we don't have children of our own.
But trust me, you have a lot of well-wishers and people who love you across the country and nation. And, you know, talking about your husband, it's very important to find the partner or a companion in life who's going to be so supportive. He comes from a textile background and now he's with you in Biocon. Tell us a little bit about him.
My husband is my anchor. He is my greatest supporter. And I can tell you that I've been very, very fortunate finding such a secure man who is my husband,
Yeah.
who really does not feel any insecurity or threat from someone as successful as me, because I know how difficult it is
Yeah.
in our society
For a woman
for a woman to succeed at the way I have
Yeah.
without the support of her husband. And therefore, I believe that my husband is my greatest companion, my greatest support, and my anchor, because he is also someone who is very strong, who actually counsels me and discusses things with me. He is very, very strategic as a thinker, and he has played a huge role in Biocon's success as well. But he is always someone who wants to be in the background, because he feels this is your company, you built it up, I will support you, but I don't need to be there up in the front.
He sets an example to all the men watching this. It's truly important to think that way. One entrepreneur who has inspired you the most?
Well, I think many, many entrepreneurs have inspired me. I actually get inspired by people who've taken the road less traveled.
Yeah.
I get inspired by people who've done things very differently. I like people who have basically taken on credibility challenges and have built credibility.
One personality from any field, not just pharma or healthcare, who you feel have done great contribution for the betterment of the country?
So if you were to ask me, who are the people I really admire in terms of making social impact?
Yeah.
I would put Azim Premji and Bill and Melinda Gates right up there.
One message to the following people. These are the people who are very dear to you and you have come across on your journey. Mr. Narayan Murthy.
Mr. Narayan Murthy, I would just say thanks for creating this great name for India and India's IT sector.
His wife, Ms. Sudha Murthy.
Sudha Murthy is an incredibly, committed person. I mean, the way she finds time to spend on rural societal projects, it amazes me. And she's so genuine, she's so sincere about everything she does.
Yeah.
I would just say to Sudha, I think India will be a better place with all the things you're doing.
Mr. Azim Premji.
Thank you for showing us the way to philanthropy, because you are a great philanthropist.
Mr. Nandan Nilekani.
Nandan is one of the most brilliant people I've met. His understanding of the application of digital technology, of this whole IT environment and IT technology for doing anything and everything that will make India a very modern society, a very smart society, a very literate society, a very well-governed society. If we could only apply everything that Nandan has written about in rebooting India
India would be a different.
into action, we would be a great country. Thank you, Nandan.
Professor C.N.R. Rao.
C.N.R. Rao is someone who is so infectious in terms of the way he innovates, the way he discovers, and the way he shares his passion of science and discovery. And I owe him a lot because he inspires me a lot. And all I would say to C.N.R. Rao is, you have just proved that age is just a number.
Yeah.
It's about the power of your mind. And that power of C.N.R. Rao's mind is so inspirational that I wish every scientist in this country would actually find time to listen to what C.N.R. Rao says. Go to YouTube, just download C.N.R. Rao's lectures and listen to his excitement. He's like a young child when it comes to science and technology.
Mr. Amitabh Kant.
Amitabh Kant is another wonderful man who is the epitome of what I would like to see every one of our bureaucrats behaving like. He has a sense of ownership. He has a sense of passion. And his sense of passion and ownership in the Make in India initiative is what will make this succeed. I have no doubts about it that by having someone like Amitabh Kant take that whole ownership of Make in India, it will succeed. Thank you, Amitabh, for being such a great person in India in the government
Yeah.
for leading the way.
Absolutely. Anil Kumble?
You know, Anil Kumble is another very, very amazing person. He is a great sportsman. I think everyone admires him for his sportsmanship. And, you know, he was one of the greatest bowlers we've had. And he's been a great captain as well. But I think what I found in Anil Kumble is whatever he does, he takes a deep interest, he takes a sense of ownership, and he leads from the front. So that captaincy that he has shown in cricket, he does it even in wildlife. I was involved with him in his whole approach to saving the tiger and the wildlife, and this whole approach to Karnataka's forests and game. And I would say that what he's done with all the forest officers, the officials, the way he has played an important role in making sure that there is no poaching, that, you know, this whole anti-poaching approach, the way he has rewarded these unsung heroes in terms of our forest officials, that brought a very different dimension and perspective about Anil Kumble. And I really, really respect him for everything that he's doing beyond cricket.
Ashwini Nachappa?
Another very dedicated, committed person. She's a sports enthusiast, passionate about sports, passionate about building on the sports agenda for the country. And she set up a very interesting school
in Coorg.
In Coorg, based on sports.
Yeah.
And sports scholarships. And when she came to me saying, Kiran, can you help me? I very readily did that because I knew how involved she was. And I built her the aquatic center at her school. And of course, she's got a lot of passion and spunk.
And your very dear friend, Shah Rukh Khan?
You know, Shah Rukh is someone who is an amazing, wonderful human being. Apart from being one of the great, great stars of Bollywood, I mean, he is someone who has really made it big through sheer hard work.
From nowhere
I mean, if you really see his story, why do I admire him so much? Because he has basically come from a very, very unexpected background. And he has taken on all the challenges to become right there at number one. So he tells you that, you know, anything is possible. So he makes the impossible possible. You know, that's why I admire Shah Rukh Khan so much. But apart from that, he is a very humanitarian person. He's a very compassionate and caring person. I know how much he has done for various initiatives. I know that he was very keen on supporting any cancer program. Not just that, but even when I asked him about his own foundation, the Mir Foundation, he has taken on a very important cause. He's actually taken on a cause about, catering to the needs of the victims of acid burns. You know, the women who suffer from these people who throw acid at them. So these acid attacks that happen on women, and the way it sort of scars them for life. He's taken on these women and he's invested in them to make sure that he can at least do whatever possible to make their disfigurement much less painful. And I think that's a very noble cause. Who would think about this?
Absolutely.
And he's got a whole database he was showing me about these victims of acid attacks. Whenever I've approached him for a needy cause, for an important cause, he has very spontaneously and willingly agreed to partake in that. And I find that a very, very noble trait in someone like Shah Rukh Khan.
And he's very thoughtful.
I'm not only his great fan in terms of his Bollywood charm, but I think I'm his even greater fan when it comes to his philanthropy and his compassion and caring for the less privileged.
Dr. Devi Shetty.
Again, Dr. Devi Shetty is someone who has done a phenomenal job of building a very new model in healthcare, which is about affordable healthcare, which is about using new business models to basically make healthcare more affordable. And as he says, he wants to disconnect affluence from the quality of healthcare delivered.
One thing that you want to change about Bangalore?
I want to change many things about Bangalore. There's not one thing that will work. But I think the traffic, the garbage, and just the road network needs to change.
Sure.
I just think we need, if you ask me what do we need to change, we need to change the way we govern this city, okay? I think the way the administrative structure is set up, it is very suboptimal.
Yeah.
We cannot have one BBMP centralized and trying to govern this whole huge city in the way it's being done today.
Yeah.
We cannot have a sort of a temporary mayor. We need a mayor with a five-year term.
Absolutely.
We need an elected mayor, and the mayor must be elected by the citizens. I don't think the mayor should be elected by the councillors, because it's become such a political battle that it's not for the citizens. You know, this has all become about party politics, and it's about money. We need a mayor who actually is elected by the citizens, okay? And that mayor has to actually sit on top of all these various administrative bodies.
Yeah.
Only then, I mean, we need a mayor who can not only sit on top of BBMP, but we need a mayor who can also, be a part of the urban development council, sitting side by side with the minister. You need a mayor who has more teeth.
Yeah. One city in the world that you adored the most?
As a city that's well managed, well governed, and has a wonderful culture about it, is Barcelona in Spain. I think it's a beautifully managed city. The citizens are proud of their city. Everything is so beautifully managed.
How does 2016 look for you?
Well, every year is something I look forward to with, new aspirations, a new sort of an approach. And again, I think 2016 is a very exciting year for us, because this is a year when we will be filing all our biosimilar programs in the sort of the developed markets of US and Europe. And to me, that's a very, very important inflection point in Biocon's journey.
We wish you all the best. Thank you for coming on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you. Your thoughts of coming here and talking to us.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, Vinay. And all the best in what you're doing.
Thank you. Before we let you go, a little goodie from our gifting partners P.N. Rao and DC Designs.
Oh, thank you so much.
I hope you like it. Before we let you go, a selfie and then we're off.
Hi, I'm Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. If you've enjoyed watching this very, very innovative series with Vinay, I would really recommend that you see all the shows that he's going to do under this Let's Talk with Vinay series, because I can tell you I enjoyed the conversation.